Number 3 and 4 are really tough problems. I'm going to start by highlighting what are the terminology we are going to be. So domain, this is different than 1 and 2. It's still domain, but what's hard is now we have like different pieces. So here we go. When we say domain, I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. I'm going to cover this up with something. Let's see if I can get a piece of paper. And we're going to see, we're looking at x values. Do you agree that this symbol means that it would continue to go to the far left? It's never ending. So I know for a fact it's going to be coming from the far left. And I'm going to stop as soon as I see the graph stop. So just listening right now for those that are in my class. Okay, I'm looking at domain, so I'm going to be checking the x values. Okay, yep, there's something on the graph. So I'm looking, yep, we got part of the graph. Yes, we got part of the graph. Yes, we got part of the back. What about when you get right here? Is there still part of the graph down below? Right down here, does everybody see this dot? Do we still have part of the graph? Still have part of the graph down here? What about now up here? Is it still here? The entire way, when I pull this from left to right, do you see how there's always some part of the graph that's showing? The entire way. So this is negative infinity to positive. That's really tough. Everybody, I want you to take your hand like this. I'm going to use a piece of paper. We always go negative to positive. What I want you to do is I want you to like roll up like you're rolling up a curtain, and I want you to stop as soon as you see the part of the graph. Then you stop. Okay, ready? Go. Stop your hand as soon as you see it. I'm going to use this. So I'm going up, 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 and I stop. Do you guys see the same thing? What's that y value? Because range is y's. What's the y value? Okay, so come over here and write -2. Yes, bracket, because we have to include it. Thank you so much, Dominic. Okay, now here we go. Do you agree there's nothing at -1? You guys see how there's no part of the graph there? I'm going to keep rolling up this curtain until I see the graph again. And by the way, if you're like, what graph is she talking about? This is the graph I'm talking about. Okay, so here we go. I'm rolling up the curtain. I've already done -2. I just keep going until I see the graph. Oop, there it is. What is that y value? 1. Okay, thank you. So we're going to include 1. And now, as I pull this curtain up, do you see how, as I pull it up, I am always seeing some part of the graph? Does everybody see that? I am always seeing some part of the graph as I continue to go up. It's endless amount. Now, why do these have brackets and this has a parenthesis? Because I cannot touch a positive infinity. It's just a symbol that represents ongoing in this direction, positive. Thank you for your help. Okay, so we're going to have 3 times this time, increasing, decreasing, and constant. Please put parentheses for all of them because we will always use parentheses. We will always analyze from left to right. And what else? And we're always going to look for x value. So let's go again. Eddie is kind of my go-to here. Eddie is running. So from left to right, which way is Eddie running here? Downhill, which is what? Okay, let's put a decrease. I'm lazy. I'm going to abbreviate. Okay. Right here, is he running downhill? No. Nope. Is he running uphill? No. He's on a flat road. It's constant. And then what about here? What's he doing? He's going uphill, which is increasing. So that's the first part. So I analyze it from left to right. I'm going to use parentheses, and now I got to put it in terms of numbers and symbols. So in terms of x's, just x's, let's focus on this one. So I'm going to do decreasing. It's the second one. So in terms of x's, this comes from the far left. How do I write far left? Okay, negative infinity. That's in terms of x's. And he continues to decrease until he gets to what x value? What's that x value? -4. That's a tough part, like programming yourself to say x value. Okay, let's do this one. Constant. Okay, what x value does he start on the constant? And what x value does he stop on the constant? Okay, increasing, what x value does he start on? And then it continues to go to the right. There's no end. Some students are like, well, how do I know if it's going to be like parentheses or brackets? Increase, decrease, and constant intervals are always parentheses. Okay, let's move down to positive and negative. I want you to think of this, any of those that like sports, maybe football, basketball, soccer. Think of this as like the midline, half court, 50-yard line. And make a little squiggly there. Anything above that squiggly, write positive on your paper. Anything above it is positive. Anything below it is a negative. We're talking about in terms of y values. Now, what's different about these two is we don't follow the same rule. It's not just parentheses, okay? Not just parentheses. Okay, so here we go. Up here, all of these have y values that are positive, and then down here are the negatives. So let's start with the positives. Okay, so in terms of x values, what does this come from again, guys? It comes from the far left, which is what? So I find positive, negative infinity. And it continues to be above this midline until it gets to an x value of, now here's the tricky part, at -4. Does this mean we include it with a bracket, or is it a parenthesis because it's an open circle? Well, you're going to look, this tells you, if it's open circle, it is parenthesis. And if it is a closed dot, it would be a bracket. Okay, now we're going to do this one. So what x value does, now this, again, this is positive, it's above this middle line. What x value does this start on? 2. And it continues to go to the right. But here's my question. Should this be a parenthesis or should it be a bracket based on what you see? Bracket, so change it to a bracket. Does that matter? It sure does. That's precision. Okay, negative. Okay, so what x value does it start on? Bracket or parenthesis? Bracket, we included. And it goes to an x value of 2. Bracket or parenthesis? Okay, those are really tough. So can you put a smiley face? I personally find these the easiest. So all eyes up here, please. So for this one, what we're going to do is draw a little arrow here inside and put an X. They're going to give us an X, and we need to find the corresponding Y. So I go to where -8 is. I got to find -8 for the X. Okay, hold on. There's 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, here's 8. And then I go up or down until I actually hit the graph. So I'm going to go up until I hit it. So when the X value is -8, what's the corresponding Y? 8. So I put an 8. Okay, now let's find -4. So the x value is -4. So here's -4, and here's where students get tricked. They're like, well, how do I know? Is it the top one or is it the bottom? It's always the one that's included. It's the closed dot in that situation. The closed dot is down below. So when I have an x of -4, the corresponding y is -2. Can you get that for me, please, Emiliano? So let's go to where x is +2. Here's an x where x is +2. Again, how do I know if it's the top one or the bottom one? We go to a closed dot. So when x is 2, y is 1. When x is 6, there's only one option, and y is who? Yes. And y is 3. All right, let's go end behavior as I go to the far left. So way over here, if I would have drawn like an oval here, I can see that this would be intersecting that oval, and it would be headed up, represented with a positive infinity. And if I go to the far right for x, is way over here. And if I draw that oval, it would also be headed up, represented with positive infinity. Do not, so I can see that they never intersect the x-axis. Do not just put a 0. That means that actually this graph would cross the x-axis as 0. Put a 0 with a line through it, or put what's called the null set. It looks like 2 really cute squiggly parentheses with nothing inside, or you could put NA. Y-intercept, there is 1 right here, and it is at 0, -2. It's a little hard to see.